Welcome to Substation Entry Training for American Electric Power Company. The audience for this course is all persons entering a substation, including employees, contractors, groundskeepers, security personnel, and others. Let's begin with the basics. What is a substation? Electric substations play an integral part in the utility system, connecting a network of power plants with transmission lines and customers across the country. In this simplified diagram, we can follow the typical path of electricity from the power plant to the customer. The power plants are fueled mainly on coal, nuclear, natural gas, and hydroelectric energy, with a small amount from solar, wind, and other renewable sources. Electricity is generated at the plant and transported by power lines to a nearby substation. In the substation, transformers increase or step up the voltage level to 138, 345, or 765,000 volts for transmission over large distances. The transmission lines connect to another substation within a few miles of customers. Here, voltage levels are reduced or stepped down to 34.5 or 12 kV for local distribution. Small transformers are connected into the distribution network to reduce voltage levels to the 110 and 220 volt outlets that power the appliances we use in our homes. Safety and security procedures have been established to protect your safety and the reliability of the electric system. To qualify for unescorted access into a substation, entrants must complete this course, Substation Entry. At some locations, company security training is also required. Entrants that have not completed the prerequisite training requirements must remain with a qualified escort at all times. By the end of this session, you will know how to comply with company operations and security procedures, understand personal protective equipment requirements, be able to distinguish energized lines from other electrical equipment, understand equipment hazards and reporting procedures, and know safe working distances. All access into a substation must be controlled, monitored, and documented. When you arrive at a substation, contact the appropriate AEP transmission or distribution dispatch center. The system dispatcher will record your name, number of people in the group, date and time of entry, a brief explanation of the reason for access, and the expected duration of the work. When you are ready to leave, call the dispatcher again to log out of the station. Dispatch telephone numbers are available from your AEP point of contact. Many substations in the AEP system have been identified as critical assets, that is, facilities that if destroyed, degraded, or otherwise rendered unavailable would affect the reliability or operability of the bulk electric power system. In critical asset substations, the signage on the entrance gate or control building door will provide procedures that must be followed, such as notification of the AEP Security Operations Center, or SOC. The only personnel authorized for unescorted access are those employees or contractors who have cleared a company human resources background check and completed prerequisite NERC-CEP security training. All visitors must be logged into the AEP Security Operations Center and escorted at all times. The control building will have an electronic ID card reader, pen pad, fingerprint reader, or similar device securing the entrance. AEP-issued badges registered in the Security Operations Center must be used for entry. Each person entering the building must swipe their card every time they exit and re-enter. If your work requires propping open the door, be sure to notify SOC and explain what's going on. All work performed in the substation must be approved by the Transmission or Distribution Dispatch Center, and proper equipment clearances must be obtained prior to starting work. Do not remove hold tags or operate equipment without proper authorization. Personnel are qualified only to the level of their training. This course is awareness level only, designed to identify the hazards in an electric substation. Completion of this course will enable you to enter a substation and perform tasks such as weed spraying, security checks, or visual checks like reading a gauge or meter. Advanced skills training is required to perform equipment operations and maintenance. The following personal protective equipment must be worn when working on or near energized equipment: hard hat, safety glasses with side shields, hearing protection within 100 feet of an air blast breaker, a fire retardant shirt or jacket, and safety-toed shoes. Any exemptions to this policy shall be determined through a hazard assessment and approved by the Safety and Health Manager. Substation fencing, structures, and equipment are grounded, which is to say, they are connected to a wire mesh grid buried 24 inches below subgrade. In the event of a lightning strike or equipment failure, the grounds direct dangerous electric currents into the earth, which protects you from being shocked. Prior to entering a substation, be sure to check the gate and fencing to verify grounds are in place. There should be a ground from the gate post into the earth, and a flexible strap between the post and gate. Unfortunately, the theft of station grounds is occurring with increased frequency. If you find damaged or missing grounds, do not touch the fencing or equipment. Report problems to the Transmission or Distribution Dispatch Center. When entering or exiting a substation, close and lock the gate behind you. Regulations require that entrance gates be kept closed or under the observation of an attendant at all times. This helps to prevent animals, children, and unauthorized persons from wandering into a hazardous area. Take a few minutes to look around the structures and try to distinguish between what is normally energized and what is not. Following these basic rules will keep you out of harm's way. Assume that the bus and conductors attached to the top of equipment are energized. Do not get near the wires, bushings, or insulators. By design, energized lines will be a safe distance away from the persons walking through the area. By looking closely and following the path of each wire, you can see that the insulators maintain a safe distance between energized lines and support structures. In addition, the supporting structures and metal framework are grounded. Nominal or typical voltage can be determined by reading company labels on cabinets and operating mechanisms, reading the substation one-line diagrams, or by contacting the system dispatcher. Knowing the nominal voltage is fundamental to determining minimum approach or safe working distances. The higher the voltage level, the greater the minimum approach distance. For example, the minimum approach distance for 138 kV is 3 feet 7 inches phase to ground and 4 feet 11 inches phase to phase. Qualified electrical workers understand this terminology and the application of minimum approach distances. For all others entering a substation, maintain a distance of at least 15 feet from energized lines. Notice on the chart that 15 feet is a safe working distance for even the highest substation voltages. Transformers reduce or increase voltage levels. The energized lines connected to the insulators and bushings on top of the transformers should be out of reach to anyone standing on the ground. The casing is connected to the ground grid and safe to touch from an electrical standpoint. Cabinets should only be opened by qualified personnel who understand the electrical, mechanical, and high-pressure gas hazards. The cooling fans are thermostat controlled, turning on and off automatically during warm weather to reduce the oil temperature in the radiator. Keep your hands and tools outside of the fan guards. If you see indications of an oil leak, report it to the system dispatcher immediately. Circuit breakers are used to isolate equipment for maintenance. The breaker tanks are pressurized. Control cabinets contain both electrical and mechanical hazards and should only be opened by authorized personnel who have been trained and qualified in company operations and maintenance procedures. Stay away from the bushings and lines on top of breakers. Voltage regulators are used on distribution circuits. The wires attached to the top of the regulators are sometimes low to the ground and within reach. Specific hazards such as this should be identified in job briefings and safety discussions. Maintain 15 feet minimum approach distance unless you have received additional safety training specific to this equipment. Capacitors store electrical charge and increase the efficiency of transporting power across the lines. Capacitor banks are programmed or controlled by dispatch to close automatically without warning. When working near a cap bank, maintain 15 feet minimum approach distance unless you have received additional safety training specific to this equipment. Small capacitor cans are often stored in substations. Be aware that the capacitor can contain an electrical charge if the circuit is not shorted. There should be a jumper attached between the bushing and casing or between the two bushings to create a short circuit. If you find a stored capacitor with a missing jumper, do not touch it. Report the problem to the system dispatcher or your AEP point of contact. Substation equipment is sometimes surrounded by an electric fence. This aids with wildlife control. When energized, the fence presents a shock hazard, so do not touch it. If access is needed inside the fenced-in area, it is safe to enter through the gate. When uncertain, do not enter. Stop and seek assistance from your AEP point of contact. If you do not need a vehicle inside the substation, the best practice is to leave it outside the gate. If you must drive in, then stay clear of structures and lines. A raised antenna or standing on the back of a truck can increase the likelihood of violating minimum approach distance. Only drive across cable tray crossovers designated for vehicle passage. Driving lanes should be clearly marked with stanchions. Tray sections designated for vehicle passage will be covered with steel plates or other materials engineered to support mobile equipment. Portable metal ladders and other portable conductive ladders shall not be used in substations. In addition, ladders should not be carried above shoulder height. Materials should not be stored within the working space of energized lines or equipment. Scrap piles create trip hazards, attract insects, field mice, and snakes, so clean them up. When working inside control buildings, keep clear of panels to avoid bumping relays or snagging control handles with clothing. The backsides of control panels are open, exposing energized wiring and connections. Do not walk between control panels without permission or training to perform work there. Floor openings shall be barricaded or sufficiently marked to warn others entering the facility of fall hazards. Be sure to cover all hazards and safe work measures during job briefings. When the hazard is eliminated, at the end of a shift, or when work is complete, restore the area to normal. Several safety precautions must be taken when working near batteries. During the charging process, hydrogen gas is emitted. For this reason, do not smoke or introduce flames or other sources of ignition. The battery cells contain sulfuric acid and distilled water to form the electrolyte. The acid is extremely corrosive. The batteries store a high-capacity DC voltage and current. Never let any part of your body or tools make contact between the battery terminals. There may be manholes, cable vaults, or temporary storage tanks on site. The number one cause of death in confined or enclosed spaces is asphyxiation. Before initially entering a confined or enclosed space for any reason, assess the hazards. Make a work plan. Test the atmosphere and obtain proper permits. Follow AEP confined space entry procedures for air monitoring, respiratory protection, and rescue procedures. Thank you for your time and attention. As you go about your day, remember AEP's environmental safety and health philosophy. No aspect of operations is more important than the health and safety of people. Our customers' needs are met in harmony with environmental protection.